I've been kicked out of my near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired for my last job. Hot wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Beat my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Ash Brent with you on a beautiful Monday. It's a Monday.
There you have it. Got to talk about it before they put a tariff on it.
Well, they might.
There you
I
go.
am from Canada.
Rena Shear checking in from Manzanillo. Man, I got some photos from Calvin and Rena. Yesterday was Calvin Shear's birthday.
Was it?
We don't do birthdays, but if we did, we would mention that Calvin had a birthday yesterday. I think he's like 46, something like that, because he's older than Rena. So I think 46 is about how
Probably
old
about right.
he is.
We don't do birthdays, but we got to do this one.
The pictures are so beautiful. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a nice part of the country.
Absolutely.
I hope they don't charge a 25% tariff on them coming back.
What would the tariff be on Calvin? They'd let Rena in. What would the tariff on Calvin? Interesting.
Ask Rena, depending on whether she's mad at him or not.
If she had a good week with him or not. The Wade and Carter Weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. For everything you need, there's Deerland Feed. I used the red funnel again this weekend. I used that $30 a gallon fuel.
Yep.
Dawn had some things she wanted to power wash, and there's nothing quite like, she referred to that as, she told me to do the laundry because she was doing man's work. If I'm out here doing man's work, the least you can do is season the chicken and do the laundry. I put my apron on and got to work. I said, knock yourself out, honey. But she really, really did a great job with her power washer, and she was quite proud of herself. Weather today brought to you by the great folks at Deerland Feed, which is where I got the red funnel, which is how I used the high power fuel. 63 degrees in Victoria under cloudy skies, heading to a high today of 80.
Nice.
There you go. Over the weekend, lots happening.
Yep.
Lots going on. I was trying to...
Jaguars baseball and softball real quick. Softball
Tell
team
us.
goes 2-2 at the Louisiana Christian tournament. Baseball takes 3 of 4 over the weekend.
So they're now 4-1?
5-1.
5-1. And they were off to a big start last year, which led to a great season. It's, it's early. You think that, they're going to schedule some patsies, come in here and,
No, we just played the number 13 and 14 teams
That's
in the
what I
country
was
this
gonna
past
say.
weekend. Yeah.
played some good teams. Let's see what we have here. Lisa Poole sent me a text. No,
So-
we're on, Lisa. We're on Facebook right now. Am I missing something? Are we not on? We're on,
Unless
Lisa.
something's going on with me.
I don't know. Sounds good. Like to
Looking good
welcome
there.
in our listeners from Magic 95.9. We know that number skyrocketed last week after some crazy talk that involved us that shouldn't have involved us. And we're very flattered that those of you that chose to tune back in did. I think one of the elephants in the room, something we should talk about after you do that, and give you some perspective on things. We're going to give you some perspective on some things. I thought it was interesting over the weekend that Venezuela, President Trump sent a plane and picked up some American hostages that had been held in Venezuela. I got this from Breitbart this morning. Diplomat stepped off the plane, private jet-looking plane, and said, "Hey, I'm from the United States, and we're here to take you home." And got our hostages and brought them home. And simultaneously, the country of Venezuela agreed not only to take back their deportees, but to send planes to get them. That's the kind of stroke Donald Trump has globally. That's what Donald Trump is doing. Come get your, and they mentioned, including members of a Venezuelan gang. Said they
Tren de Agua or whatever it's called. Yeah.
And they knew they were taking them back, and they're coming to get them in their own planes. That's good. I remember Donald Trump saying they're going to take them back. They're going to like it. I remember that. So good on Donald Trump. It's a good day to be an American.
Yeah, there's a lot that went on over the weekend.
Yeah,
And
don't care about your heritage.
The world's in a tizzy.
Yeah, don't care about your heritage. It's a good day to be an American in America. I've got to play this.
Yeah.
We can play that.
Judge Posey, good morning. Wendy Hughes Garcia checking in. Sarah Elkins, there's the podium for you this morning. Kendra Douglas, Bobby Leister, Randy Langston, Rena Scherer, Marvin Mickers, Greg Garcia, Micah Patton, Justin Glass, Tammy Keeling, good morning. Junior Samples, Mark Kurtz.
There you go. Turn up the Bluetooth.
Jeremy McCrugan, Tammy Williams, Mark Zapata.
Hey, there's Mom.
There's your mom checking in. Ryan Hopping, good morning. With this one here, right? There we go.
The Bluetooth. Want to give y'all some perspective. This is off of X, but it's from a Latino guy. Let's just listen to it.
If I went to Africa and I wanted to live there, right? And all of a sudden, Africa wanted to deport me back to my homeland, the United States of America. And imagine if I went and I protested against Africa and I was lifting a United States of America flag in protest, saying I wanted to stay in Africa, but waving this flag from another country. How crazy would that look? How crazy would that be? That's exactly what's happening with people that are protesting right now in the United States. They're lifting up flags from different countries in protest of being deported back to those countries. Think about that. How wild is that? If you love that country so much, why don't you go back over there? But let's be really honest. Instead of you sitting there lifting up that flag from another country, why don't you lift up the flag from the United States of America and say, hey, I want to stay here. I love this country. I appreciate this country. It's a blessing to live here. I don't want to go back to any other country. And you wonder why patriots and United States citizens like myself are fed up seeing this stuff. Because you're ungrateful. You don't appreciate the blessing it is to live in the United States of America. If you did, you wouldn't lift a flag of a foreign country that didn't do nothing for you.
Amen. Welcome home to America.
Well, and this is part of everything that went on this weekend. The world's mad at Trump, and
good.
He's going to start a nuclear war.
Now,
the world's going to burn. So 25% tariffs went into effect against Canada and Mexico.
Only 10% on petrochemicals, though.
Well, because there's a $200 billion trade gap between Canada and the U.S., which, by the way, when I went to research that, Trump pulled that out of his butt. So I don't agree with everything Trump's doing. And case in point, the tariffs on Canada, not because I'm Canadian, because I'm looking at the bigger picture here.
Because he's Canadian. Straight up. His dad likes Jack Daniels. He doesn't know how he's going to get it. Straight up.
Oh, he's a Canadian whiskey guy. So Canada last year, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol seized 20 pounds of fentanyl coming across the Canada-U.S. border.
That's just not much.
That could have been one stop. And don't get me wrong, there's probably lots getting through, right? It's a 3,000-mile border. The problem is much of it is impossible to traverse. West of Ontario, it's all swampy, boggy marsh. Not easy to get through.
Is that like above the UP?
Yes.
Okay.
Minnesota, that way, Michigan, all that. Not easy to get through. And then you go further west, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, part of Alberta, the prairies, probably easier to get across. It's flat, but you can see somebody coming across the border.
Nobody's
for days
into the U.S. from Canada.
But then you get to western Alberta and BC, it's all Rocky Mountains and subsequent ranges thereof. You're climbing 1,000-foot peaks to get across the border. It ain't happening. So anyway, Yeah, but Junior, there's really not a trade deficit between Canada and the U.S. But I'm going to get to this.
I don't think there really is either. I don't know. I know Trump's playing chess while everybody else is watching checkers.
I don't know that he is in this case, but at least with Canada. 20 pounds of fentanyl was all we seized last year at the border. If we believe Border Patrol and what they've told us in the past, it's a percentage of what's actually coming across. That's still not a lot.
Right.
100 pounds maybe total. I mean, I get it. Well, that's enough to kill everybody in the U.S. No, it's not, because the cartel doesn't dole it out in doses big enough to kill the person using it in most cases. They're trying to hook you and keep you on the product for life. Which is another part of the argument that we'll get to here.
It's just not all made by scientists.
No.
Good morning, John Anderson.
Not when you get to that. Not when you get to the end product. So there's that. In 2024, Customs and Border Patrol apprehended 19,000 illegals crossing the border from Canada to the U.S.
So that means maybe 100,000 people cross the border.
Maybe 100,000 if we hold true they catch about 1 in 5. Right?
So the real issue is still our southern border.
It really is when it comes to this stuff. And but there is an economic component to this. Canada does the U.S. a solid. Canada sells oil to the U.S. at a steep discount. When you see the West Texas Intermediate crude price at $95 a barrel or whatever it is, we're selling it roughly equivalent crude oil at about $75 a barrel to the U.S. Canada is.
As you say, you said we.
Yeah,
you jumped allegiance.
I did.
You jumped over the border there
Canada.
for a moment. Okay.
Canada provides the U.S. a lot of their minerals for the defense industry, nuclear energy, heavy manufacturing. That 25% tariff could end up costing us a lot of money.
It won't. Everybody knows this. This is a short-term play. It's purely to get today, the president is going to visit with Claudia Sheinbaum and Justin Trudeau.
But
when was the last time the three heads of the three countries here in North America really had a sit down? And they're going to have one.
You know what
today.
we really could tariff from Canada though, when those northers come down? Let's add like a 25-degree tariff to them.
So make it colder?
Make it warmer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Go the other way with it.
Well, I'm at the point where...
But Canadians should be mad at Trudeau. Here's a guy...
They should be.
Here's a guy and rightly so in Trump, in my case. I don't believe... I'm not sure what Trump's end game is with this. If it's truly to try to get Canada to become a territory, it's not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. They're not going to become the 51st state.
No.
But what he's doing is insulting them to basically say, look, you ought to probably give us the oil because we protect you. Now, make no mistake, it's in our national interest to protect Canada. We love that buffer between, for example, us and Russia. That we don't really want them to be a state.
Well, when I said we, Junior, I wasn't really talking Canada. I was trying to get into the pockets of big oil. We is in big oil.
He also represents Big Oil. He's on an NIL contract with Big Oil. He has an Exxon tattoo on his back.
But what China has done for a long time economically is dump cheap products into Canada and Mexico so they come across the Canadian or Mexican border as Canadian and Mexican products from some third-party retailer on Amazon. This is really becoming an Amazon type of thing, right?
It's true. You see this all the time. It direct ships. It ships from Canada, but it doesn't mean it wasn't made in China and it's been shoved into a warehouse.
And it's avoiding tax. And there's like an $800 limit in Canada where packages from Canada don't get charged a tariff.
And the average Amazon package is about $50.
Yeah, that's how they're doing this.
I like Jared McCruden says Trudeau will be bringing his best crayons with him, so he's serious this time, I'm sure.
And the crayon sharpener.
It is worth noting this has probably been his most decisive leadership moment I've ever witnessed. Justin Trudeau stood up and said, this is not going to work. Canadians are united. He was almost, honestly.
Prime ministerial?
Yes. I'm proud of him.
But I'm not, because here's why.
On his way out.
3 weeks ago when Trump said, I'm going to impose tariffs if Canada and Mexico don't get in line, what did Trudeau do? He peed down his leg and quit. That was his response to Trump. Let's not call him. Let's not work on this for the last 2 weeks.
Okay, I'll resign.
Let's pee on my leg, quit my country, and dissolve Parliament so we really can't even work with this.
True story. Yes, Will, this is today's show.
That's who Canadians should be mad at, not Trump.
I don't disagree. Now, flip it down to Mexico. We did over the weekend, in fact, yesterday. There you go. I agree with Torn Bales 100%. Trump is playing chess. Canada and Mexico are playing checkers. You're going to find out what he wants. So is he playing
Chinese checkers when he plays with the Chinese?
Could be. You're going to find out what his end game is pretty quick, and it's going and make no mistake, Mexico and Canada are going to cave. Give you an example. 47% of the vegetables that the United States imports come from Mexico. 81% of our tomatoes come from Mexico. But so the other big number is going to be Chile and stuff, where they have grapes and bananas and all of that. So you may pay a little bit more for a tomato this week than you paid last week.
I paid $1 more for my bag of Tim Hortons coffee yesterday.
There you go. But it wasn't because of the tariff. But who cares? At the end of the day, this is all about leverage. And at the end of the day, they need us more than we need them. And don't ever let your pride or your ego tell you anything differently. I can't help it. If you're Latino and you love Mexico and you believe that Mexico is so important to the U.S., at the end of the day, without the teat of the United States, Mexico is one broke country. Make no mistake. $65 billion crossed our border last year with no taxes from people working in the United States, sending money back to Mexico. I personally have no problem with that.
That should be the way it should be if you believe in smaller government and free trade and
Scott Tomko says it won't affect him. He gets his avocados from H-E-B. He ain't worried about where they come from. True story.
Well, they come from H-E-B. Here's the other problem with this though. And this is where you have to wonder some of the business decisions that were made by companies. I got a friend who sells lumber for a living. I mean, I'm not talking, 3 2x4s and a sheet of plywood for your doghouse project over the weekend. I'm talking train loads.
Like he might sell it to Lowe's or Home Depot.
Yes. So the minute that Trump imposed a threat of 25% tariffs, nothing. Nobody in the U.S. started buying lumber. You would think as a business decision when they're saying, well, it's going to cost us more. They would have started scooping up lumber like it's going out of style. Just one product, for example.
Right.
Because now to get that same lumber, it's going to cost them 25% more.
And there are opportunistic folks out there that will just automatically start raising prices because they can get away with it. You're just going to have to suck it up for a couple of weeks. That's just the way it's going to be. If you really believe that this is not keyed at the southern border, the cartels, and drugs, which, by the way, Ash and I seem to agree on this. If it wasn't for all the bonehead, mentally ill idiots in our country that were sucking up fentanyl, we wouldn't have this problem.
And opioids and
get off the dope.
Blame the prescription drug companies, big pharma, for the opioid.
They've already paid billions in fines. But I'm like, you have to look in the mirror. Now, I agree, Torn. Short-term loss, long-term gain. At the end of the day, the ability to look at these foreign countries and say, hey, like Venezuela. You're going to take these people back. Okay. There was a well-orchestrated, and by all recollections that I've gotten, was a very peaceful protest, if you will.
I did hear our first break and then go to the protest.
We can talk about we got to talk about the protest. Yeah. I mean, you've got to talk
about look at what the pressures on Panama have done. Panama all of a sudden said, you know what? We're done.
So we've upset
with China and them. They pulled out of their deal with a Chinese company, the Chinese government, to control and operate the ports in Panama. All because of Trump's pressure. You don't think that's good for the Western Hemisphere as a whole? That the Chinese Communist Party no longer has an inroad to the key trade route from one side of the continent to the other?
They were talking yesterday, folks were talking back and forth, and they said that Trump's come in, and this was a guy from the UK, what's left of England, what's left of the United Kingdom, chatting up that, you know what, I'd have to side with Canada, Mexico, Denmark, and Greenland. Trump's being a bully, blah, blah, blah. And I sent back to him, well, the next time that Putin or some despot decides to threaten Western Europe, why don't you call the king of Denmark to come bail you out with his military? Make no mistake, England may be awfully proud. They ain't nothing without the United States, and haven't been since World War II.
Oh, they put a good whooping on the Falklands.
Oh, we loaned, yeah, exactly. Loaned them money to prop up their government.
Prince Andrew was in on that one.
Yeah, that's exactly why they did it. Quick break, folks. RK Development Group, Daniel Rollins and his team are ready to come out and build you a new barn dominium, a building, bricks and sticks, whatever you want. Concrete is one of their fortes. Deep slab concrete for holding industrial applications. Reach out to RK Development Group. You can find them here on Facebook.
Veteran-owned build.
United States Marine, and a fine gentleman.
And when you want to finish it out, check out the Dollar Floor Store for all your flooring needs.
Absolutely.
Still blowing out tile at 39 cents a square foot. That's 39 cents a tile if you get a 12 by 12.
You want to keep it clean? Call JAS. Get with us. We'll get you all the numbers for that. You may have it somewhere. I don't have it in front of me. Reach out and get that done. JAS Cleaning Services, a whole different level of clean. We're not talking about a maid service here. We're talking about deep, deep industrial cleaning. Atzenhofer and Atzenhofer.com since 1926. Atzenhofer is Victoria's dealership. Get by and see Tommy Taylor. Find out why you always find your new Chevy at Atzenhofer. That's the place to be. Tommy is the guy to see. Went Services, Went for all your electrical needs. Went can help you with plugs, ballasts, entire building structures, commercial, school. They do it all. They've done huge jobs, little jobs. They're very personable.
From here to the valley, they will travel.
Absolutely. And they are the preferred generator provider, turnkey service. Be careful what you buy at the box stores. White Trash Services and White Trash Site Services. Whether you need trash hauled on a regular basis or you need to get rid of an unsightly structure on your property and have that returned to a great lot that you can either sell or build upon, reach out to White Trash 550-1826.
This is why we love those of you that tune in. Listen to Junior. I went to the Dollar Floor Store and got just what I needed when Big Box didn't have a clue. You guys support those that support this forum, and that's I'm really appreciative of that.
That's right. That's what helps us stay on the air. That's what helps us bring you the data. What are you looking for? What are you doing?
Nothing.
You're making me nervous.
Sorry, just keep doing what you're doing.
I don't even know what to do.
Well, okay, Panama's one example, right? What Trump has done in Panama. Venezuela's another.
Right.
People are mad, and who said it here? Hang on. Andrew Alvarez, so many countries and how many people are mad at what Trump's doing when they should be mad at their own government and their own country and their own leadership. We're not responsible for their success or failures. We are not their parents.
Got to give them their due, man.
Yeah.
They named it. You've heard Georgia by Ray Charles. Got to give them their due, man.
Well, I had to play the Panama national anthem.
This is it, the Panamanian national anthem. Gotta like.
Might be the best national anthem.
It's the best national anthem ever. Speaking of national anthems, did you see yesterday Toronto Raptors were playing basketball, and then when the lady came out to sing the national anthem, they really didn't like her because they booed her hard.
She's probably a Canadian singer, too.
Hey? Could have been Robert Goulet. He could have forgotten the words.
Could have been.
They booed, folks. Oh, say, can't boo. Ah, they were booing the Canadian. You know, they were drunk, but they were still screaming and booing. And then at a hockey game, which is where I would expect it to be, hockey is so much more of a patriotic sport in Canada. They also booed the American anthem there. But you know what, Canada? Yeah, you might want to chill a little bit. You just might want to chill. When you consider that the GNP of Texas is bigger than the GNP of Canada, you might just want to cool your jets a little bit. Get some perspective there. Imagine the arrogance of the United States or of Texas if we were to like snub our nose at this country. Not that we don't do it sometimes, but if we were to do it, that's about the impact that it has. What would California say? You know, who cares? Texas.
So yesterday, Victoria was not immune, not left out.
Oh, sometimes we're a Me Too. We're a Me Too city. Oh, everybody else is doing it, so let's have one of those Black Lives Matter rallies. That'll be fun.
Well, but we did ours like months later,
and it was hot, so they all got back on the bus and went to Dairy Queen.
So yesterday, a group of folks joined in with the rest of the country to protest the raids. I think Facebook does that to screw up.
Yeah, that's Facebook deal. They don't want us to play that music.
No, because they think it's
we don't have a license.
We don't have the it's royalty for tariffs. Facebook's jumping
we
tariffs.
We do have the license to do so, but they're dumb. It's Facebook.
I have to go in and tell them that every single time. It's just it's tedious, so I don't do it all the time. Anyway, so yesterday, Victoria, not immune, not left out of the nationwide protests, and they got really stupid in places like Dallas and LA. I don't recall any reports of stupidry here in Victoria, although there were some cases of really idiot decisions. It could have gone
south real
bad. So they were lined up on Navarro near Airline in front of the Patty Dodson on both sides of the road and in the median, on the median.
With children on the median.
I'm talking young, knee-high kids on the median. I forgot it was going on, and I was at the corner of Airline and Navarro, and I turned right to go north onto Navarro. And it's a good thing I didn't turn right on the red, because that would have been not illegal, but there were people across from me turning left on the red.
Yeah.
To go north.
Running red lights.
They were running red lights. There were people going north and south running red lights when I had the green. If I'd have stepped on it, I'd be driving a new vehicle or in the hospital, not sure which. People were idiots yesterday over this thing. And all of the ones that went whipping through the lights, running red lights, I saw one idiot driving down Navarro southbound. That a young kid popped up through the sunroof holding a Mexican flag. The kid had to be 8 years old. Every truck and car that ran a red light had a Mexican flag hanging on it.
Lisa Poole asked a question. Where was VPD? I don't have a confirmation. I think, of course, James curses. That's a normal day in Victoria. But I don't know where VPD was. I'm sure there was a presence.
Not that deep. 2 or 3 cars run the red, not 6 or 7 at one time.
There was a presence, I'm certain, but I don't know where. Tammy Keeling throws in, I just have to share this with y'all. Tammy's myopic, like if I said, man, the price of bananas has really gone up. Tammy would say, price of bananas has gone up, but schools haven't had a raise in 5 years. Like, it's got nothing to do with the topic at hand at all. Tammy says the GDP of Texas is greater than most countries, but we still fund public education like a third world country. Donald Trump getting set this week, I believe, the Doge, Elon Musk, has his sights set on the Department of Education. I can't think of anything better than Donald Trump shutting down the Department of Education. I really can't. I also can't think of anything that the federal Department of Education has ever done for Texas. I really can't. I'm almost to the point, and I don't know if Ash shares my opinion, I'm almost to the point, if it wasn't for fear, if you're ever held hostage by anybody over money, whether it be a spouse or a boss or the state, you're probably getting screwed. Maybe not with the spouse, but you know what I'm trying to say. I'm saying I'm almost to the point of telling...
Nice save, so Don doesn't get mad at you.
Telling the state of Texas to take a hike. We don't need their money because it comes with their influence. Yes, Tammy, I did say, I talked about the GDP of Texas, but
in relation to Canada and other countries, it didn't need to be related
to public education. No. I mean, everything isn't about public education. It's just not. And I'm at the point where...
And we don't fund it like a third world country. Third world countries aren't spending anywhere near the money that we do. And when they do, it's for indoctrination into communist.
We spend more...
We do that now.
We do that now. We spend more than the GDP of some countries on education and aren't getting the results we need. I'm at the point where I could honestly tell Austin, keep your money. And I believe that our community would find a way to educate our kids. Everybody might not get free food and a snack, but guess what? When I was growing up,
give them all 3 hots and a cot.
I didn't get free food when I went to school. In fact, nobody did, actually. Some did. They were on assistance.
You know what the funny thing is? I can remember my mom telling me, hey, if somebody doesn't bring lunch, share your sandwich with them.
Absolutely.
You won't starve by eating only half your sandwich.
Amen. And you know what? If we brought that back, we'd have, guess what? Less racism. We'd have more people getting along. You probably have less gang fighting and stuff. You know, a lot of these folks in gangs, they're just looking to belong somewhere. They've got terrible family lives. Nobody leaves their Christian home with 2 parents and goes and joins a gang. Just, you know, doesn't happen.
I don't know. Some of them go and join ISIS. Oh, right? Speaking of which.
Speaking of that. Yeah.
U.S. Army laid a whooping in Somalia on an ISIS training compound over the weekend.
And Trump was quick to announce that no civilians were harmed in any way.
Well, they'll all say that these were just civilians.
No, they weren't.
I know they weren't. You and I know they weren't. But yeah, they had it coming. But this is what's happening in the world right now with a strong leader. But this somewhat. I mean, it was a peaceful protest, and I'm convinced that's probably why VPD. Because it's illegal to stand on the median and distract traffic.
But if they had gone out there, it would have been chaos.
Our panhandlers can't do it, but yeah, exactly.
It would have been Highway 101. And that's the problem. These types of protests, just so you know, have never, ever accomplished anything.
Well, those in the median are doing exactly what those crossing the border claim they're doing, or those that excuse the behavior. Well, they're not really illegal. They didn't really break the law. No, they did. They stood there. They broke a couple of laws. They stood there on the median, which is against the law. And you endangered your child by having your child stand on the median with you. If there would have been one accident at the corner of Airline and Navarro, if 2 cars running reds would have collided, the carnage that would have resulted from people being hit by those 2 vehicles, Victoria would have been on the news again.
So I can go back to Teddy Roosevelt. I just don't, and I agree with the Latino commenter who shared with us, imagine being in Africa and waving an American flag and saying, I want to stay in Africa. I love folks. I've got so many Hispanic friends.
Jim Hinojosa says half the people who are out don't even know why they were out.
No, they just went because everybody was out there.
And my understanding, we've had a handful of people arrested in Victoria.
17 is the number I got.
Illegals.
It ain't like you got to close down every Mexican food restaurant. Come on.
If they're actually going after those that the Trump administration said they were going after, we're getting rid of some pretty bad folks here.
Yeah.
Felons. That's who he's going after. He's not going after somebody with a parking ticket who's here illegally. They're going after those who are committing felonies, drunk drivers, murders, rapists, robbers, burglars.
I can take you back to a guy named Teddy Roosevelt who was kind of big on immigration. Does this sound outrageous today? Because this is how long ago was Teddy Roosevelt? 100 years?
1910s, somewhere there, 19, yeah.
President Roosevelt said, in the first place, we should insist that if the immigrant who comes here in good faith becomes an American and assimilates himself to us, he shall be treated on an exact equality with everyone else. For it is an outrage to discriminate against any such man because of creed or birthplace or origin. But this is predicated upon the person's becoming in every facet an American and nothing but an American. There can be no divided allegiance here. Any man who says he is an American but something else also isn't an American at all. We have room for but one flag, the American flag. We have room for but one language here, and that is the English language. And we have room for but one sole loyalty, and that is a loyalty to the American people. Now, we've all acquiesced through the years, and we've had English as a second language, and I am totally for the education of everybody that comes here. You can't get a small child in here and have been raised, let's say, with a Spanish-speaking family and say, we have to educate this child, and oh, by the way, he's got to learn English. We're going to immerse him in English. It works for lots of people. I know people that pay to go places to be immersed in a foreign language. You learn it pretty quick when it's how you get to eat. But aside from that, what Teddy Roosevelt said still resonates today, and he was a lot closer to the Constitution than we are.
Korea and Japan don't send their people over here to learn English as a second language by illegally crossing our border and getting into our classrooms. They actually hire Americans and Canadians and others who are native English speakers to go teach it in their schools.
Right.
Novel concept, really. Maybe we should do that with some of our Spanish teachers.
Cody's up. He seems to have wording here. 1995 State of the Union address. Bill Clinton said there's too many illegals, and he got a standing ovation for it.
Well, you know what's interesting?
Obama said we've got to get rid of these folks.
Barack Obama deported more illegals
than Donald Trump,
than any president
ever.
But
he's looked at as this super kind, gentle guy. Hey, Barack Obama is the guy that built the cages. They were called detention cells when he built them. When Donald Trump used them, they were cages separating families. Oh my gosh, it's chaos. He did exactly what Obama did.
And what the left refuses to acknowledge is the families were separated long before they ever got to the border, when the cartel took kids from families and used them as pawns to get people across, saying, this is my family.
And I can't emphasize enough, these are not predominantly Mexican families. These are people from Honduras and Guatemala. Look, man, the Mexicans hate Honduras. Come on. They're not all Raza Unida. They're not. They're just not. Mexico is different, both to us because of proximity and because of heritage and culture. Mexico is different to us than Guatemala, Honduras, Iran, China, India. They've all crossed our southern border. They've all crossed our southern border. Period. Fact.
167 different countries have crossed our southern border illegally. Or people from. The countries themselves didn't pick up and move.
And I'm sorry.
That'd be hard.
I'm sorry. If you show me somebody who's lived in this country for 40 years and now it turns out that they may be illegal, where you been? Where you been for 40 years? You just had a 4-year window to solve that riddle. There was nobody saying if you came forward and said, I'm going to try to get a visa, whatever, they weren't going to just deport you. The Biden administration certainly wasn't. At the end of the day,
well, I gave you a promise to appear and knowing you never had to appear.
I have no problem. I could even sit on the board of being the appellate that said there are exceptions to the rule. But that doesn't mean that you don't obey the rule. And you may say to me, well, that's just not fair. Well, life isn't fair. You know what? The fair way is the way this guy came to America. It wasn't fair that he couldn't take any federal aid. It wasn't fair that he couldn't work because he didn't have a visa. It just wasn't fair. But he stayed there, he played by the rules, and now he's an American. And it ain't because he's white. Because to be honest, being Canadian is just a little bit below being white. It's not fair. Was it fair to you? But you had a set of rules, and you did what you had to do.
Absolutely.
Amen. And you don't get to say, well, and then you got these people, everybody's, whatever. There is no such and such on stolen land. I mean, cry me a river. The United States came over here. Americans came over here.
Anybody of Spanish descent in Mexico was on stolen land. Because the conquistadors those that came over from Spain eradicated the Aztecs.
Right. Brilliant. A brilliant group of folks, by the way.
Set Mexico back decades, if not centuries, with the technology. The Aztecs were way ahead of everybody. The Incas, way ahead of, more advanced than anybody at that time.
True story.
But they brought over their smallpox and disease. Killed them off.
But, on the other hand, and you can do a little research, our area right here was just rife with Comanches. And
Karankawas.
You want to talk about
cannibals?
I've never called indigenous people savages. These were not people you bring home to mother. These were ruthless warriors.
Read some books about the Comanche raids in Texas.
Kill people.
It's unsettling.
Scalp you alive, rape your children.
And then take the women and children.
Absolutely.
Into hostage, brainwash them. Quanah Parker.
It's almost like a weekend in Los Angeles. Sounds like the debauchery at the Grammys last night.
Do we even?
No, we don't talk about the Grammys. Take a quick break.
All right.
Folks, Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen is your go-to tow-to, period. Just call Allen. Veracruz, the best Mexican food on the planet. I have deemed it such. It's family-owned and operated. Hey, check it out. By Americans. Get into Veracruz and enjoy lunch today. USA Concrete Coating, family-owned, American-owned, Hispanic-owned business in Corpus Christi, Texas. 578-HOME. They can put down a tough as nails polyurethane coat that won't crack, stick, peel, or fade. Reach out to USA Concrete Coating for all your work. Chestnut Furniture Company for over 100 years, over 80 years in their current location. Bobby Leon and his family serving you and yours. Sold furniture to your great-grandparents and delivered it on horseback.
Or at least horse-covered wagon, or horse-drawn wagon back then. Might have been covered.
Chestnut can love make your house a home. Get in today. See why you just always do better at Chestnut. Palace Bingo. Do you want to throw it up? You want to have a twofer? You want to have a double date with your family? How about a Thursday night, the 13th? And then Friday is Valentine's Day. Okay. Check your schedule. Get back to me. I'm just spitballing here to see what works.
I appreciate the spitballing.
Parvita Wellness. Get in and get healthy. Let Erica Briggs help you with your dietary needs. She can help you for sure. Junior Samples points out that Chicken Fried Friday went great for him at Veracruz. When Junior left, I got a call from Ida. Ida said, Junior said to put it on your tab. I said, well, I didn't know I had a tab. She goes, he paid. He didn't know that you had no tab. Get in and see Veracruz today. Paravita for all your healthy food, no gluten, no preservatives, high protein, whatever you want. Talk to her. And then the office is at 205. Come by and see this beautiful, beautiful space. There's been some traffic here lately. I think there's about to be more and more offices in here. What did Andy Rokovich, semi-historian, say? In 1492, there were more than 2,000 tribes in the United States. 200 years later, there were less than 200 tribes. It's amazing what they did to each other once they found out about guns. No doubt about it. There's no doubt that guns and whiskey, guns and booze led to...
both introduced by the white man.
But you know, the thing I never had any patience for, I remember it as a child. I remember I was very blessed as a kid. My mom and dad would sacrifice to take me on trips in the summers. Little League would end, All-Star season would end. We would get in the car and off we'd go in the family truckster. And I remember...
You'd be gone during All-Star season because
right,
you never
never made the All-Star team. But I stayed to watch because I was a teammate. No, but I can remember going out through the plains and seeing buffalo on occasion and being like just amazed. And remember my dad and mom telling me that there was a time when they were just thick as flies. They just roamed and they were the main source of the American Indian. And the American Indian wasted nothing. They used the hide for clothing and for tents. They used the bones to make tools.
And broth.
They ate all of it. Nothing was wasted. They were tremendously efficient, and they were very appreciative to the gods for the blessings of the plains. When I found out that my people, if you will, that Americans wholesale slaughtered the buffalo just to punish, just to encamp and to cause death, really, among the Indians, they just shot them and left them in the field for nothing. I was very, very ashamed. And there is no group of people ever, I don't care how black you are, there's no group of people ever in this country that were treated as badly as the Native Americans. And you know what? Nobody cares.
By government edict in a lot of times.
Nobody cares. The only people that ever raise a stink for the American Indian, Marlon Brando and Indians. And everybody thought Marlon Brando was crazy.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Yeah, you can get a billionaire rapper can get on TV and whine about how bad black folks still have it in this country.
And then be allowed to walk down the red carpet of the Grammys with his naked wife or girlfriend.
Yes. Yeah.
And nobody says anything.
Unbelievable. I mean, it is unfathomable. And now we've assuaged our sense of justice by saying, well, they've got those casinos, they're getting rich. They don't have what they had. You know, does it make sense in this world that they would still be riding around bareback hunting buffalo and we're all huddled along the coast or something? No.
Maybe we'd be jealous of them.
I don't know. To the victor goes the spoils, right? Elections have consequences. America conquered them and went on to become
and the tribes would conquer, and that's how they gained territories. And then that's how they became conglomerations of tribes.
Yeah.
It's what happened.
Tammy Keeling with a very, very, for an educated person, a very, very ignorant observation. I'm going to go ahead and share it. If no government entities have DEI anymore, how will the governor have access to his office? This is a really stupid comment, and I know it's just to spur conversation, so I'll indulge it. The Americans with Disabilities Act ensures access to buildings for people like Governor Abbott. The DEI concept is that if Governor Abbott's in a wheelchair, he deserves to be governor.
Yeah.
He deserves to be governor because he's in a wheelchair. Two totally separate concepts. And I know you're not really that dumb. I know you're not. So you're just trying to spur conversation, and I thought I would indulge it because other people may not get it.
Protest Mexico, if you've ever been there, the sidewalks are not friendly to anybody who can't walk without a limp.
That's right.
I mean, there's a TikTok video, basically the Mexican Sidewalk Olympics. They're funny because if you've been there, they're true.
That's right. That's right. H.R. Mallory says, hey, quit fear-mongering. Yeah, DEI has absolutely nothing to do with access to buildings. Absolutely zero to do with access. That is the Americans with Disability Act. It's amazing. I think it came into being in like 1989, maybe later. It's amazing that we waited that long. But DEI is they're all about hiring people. In fact, I told Ash coming in this morning, I heard on Breitbart that there was a wall at Guantanamo Bay, and it had all these colorful words on it: commitment, inclusion.
Quantico, wasn't it?
Quantico, yes, correct. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
And
had to fact check
inclusion, diversity, all that, and it was being painted gray by a guy in a uniform. And what was the guy's name? Michael Slater, is that his name? He said, I'm not so big on gray as a color, but when I found out that they were painting over this garbage at Quantico at the FBI Academy, I was quite proud of our country. That's the difference Donald Trump is making. So there you go. Tammy Keeling, backtracking a little or, again, confused, says that's a warped explanation of DEI. DEI is not affirmative action. Okay. DEI is you've got to seek out people that are different, and they get advantages that people that are not different don't get. That's called wrong. We're all about meritocracy here at Wade and Carter. Earn it or burn it. What do you got for me?
Well, CNN with an interesting fact. More than 25 million Americans have a fear of flying.
It's going up. Did you see where United had a plane catch on fire on the runway yesterday? Not in Houston.
No, it wasn't Houston.
Was it? I was trying to put people at ease.
And apparently, whatever, this is what I heard last night. I haven't looked into it this morning. At the time, passengers alerted the crew to the wing being on fire.
Yeah.
Some sensors or systems that were part of the plane that should have detected that may not have worked.
You're going to see more and more of this as the airlines have, embraced DEI hiring, people that aren't qualified working on your airplanes. That type of stuff is going to happen.
Stocks down yesterday. I don't know where they started today, but all the futures kind of plunged yesterday in wake of the tariff news.
It's great stuff. It's going to be fantastic.
When's Bibi's in town, right? He's in D.C.?
Yes.
Benjamin Netanyahu.
Your friend, Bibi?
Yeah.
You're so casual there with the head Jew. I mean,
he's going to mate today, I believe, with President Trump.
You meant to say meet. You said mate. He's going to mate today.
I was pulling in my Aussie for you.
I didn't. It just makes me nervous. You're calling him Bibi, and you're saying he's going to mate with the president. It's giving me anxiety. Now I have a fear of flying. Andrew Alvarez, I wonder if I can get a DEI spot back in selling cars with my new visual impairment. Can you imagine the test drives?
You just sit in the back seat anyway.
Andrew's doing well, getting better all the time.
Running for Senate.
Absolutely.
Even better. There's your DEI appointment. We'll just replace. I'm for DEI and affirmative action if we can just replace John Cornyn with you because.
Right. And it's not because we love you so much, Andrew, although we do. It's about getting rid of John Cornyn.
Hockey half minute. Dallas Stars make a trade with San Jose, get Michael Granlund for they're loading up for a Stanley Cup playoff run, a Stanley Cup championship run. So there's your hockey half minute. Daniel Bird, there have been a lot of plane crashes lately. Nobody's heard about it because they're not announcing it to everyone. Now all of a sudden they're all making the news. I don't know, maybe more people are
right. So Tammy Keeling has basically emphasized that she's pro-DEI, which doesn't surprise me. And that's okay. I mean, we have our share of leftists that listen to this program, and that's good.
Can somebody explain to me how Beyonce wins country album of the year? I've listened to a lot of country albums this year.
Racism. She's a black woman singing a country song, so it's got to be the album of the year.
A lot of them are a whole lot better than anything Beyonce put out on that whatever country album that she claimed was country.
I don't know what it was called.
I don't either. Yeah. Marco Rubio doing a great job as Secretary of State, met with the Panama president, Jose Molino, said, hey, look, you're getting too close to in bed with China.
Amen. That is the whole point. Trump doesn't really want to own the Panama Canal. He wants China's influence out of the region. But everybody else, everybody listens and they hear the garbage that's there and they don't really understand. It was called Cowboy Carter was the name of that. And I'm sorry my name's ascribed to that, but that's actually, what's his name, her husband? It's his real name.
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z is his real last name is Carter. And so I guess her married name is Carter. So she's Cowboy Carter. But that is the issue here. China has too much influence in the region. Nobody knew about it. You can recall back when the rumors came out about Joe Biden saying, hey, Jack, I'm wheels up in, 6 hours.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. That's the first time you heard about Ukraine. And since then, we've had a war. So understand that
I can't wait till Donald Trump turns his attention to the Ukraine-Russia war and ending that conflict, because pundits on the left are already, well, he said the first thing he was going to do was end the war in Russia or Ukraine.
Something we reported on here, President Zelensky of Ukraine was literally whining on TV on Sunday morning about all this money they say they sent. I mean, I haven't seen it. Where did the money go? I don't know where the money is. They're lying to you. Hey, Zelensky, you know all those boxes of missiles and ammo and all that showed up? That's where the money went. What America did was give him their aging munitions and have contracts with American suppliers to replenish our stores of ammo and bombs and all of that. Some of those things have a shelf life.
It's military-industrial complex.
It's where's the people?
Medicare.
That's exact, but well said. Entitlement dollars to the military-industrial complex. They move it around. They send him $100 million worth of ammo. They write a check for $150 million to the military folks, who then put the ammo back in the storage shed
and send some of that money back to the DNC and Democrat,
absolutely,
and
some
Republicans
of that money goes to them in the way of donations,
political donations.
Absolutely, that's what happens to it,
and that's what's happening with all of this scrutiny around U.S. aid and the foreign aid. You watch what's going to happen as some of this stuff starts getting unraveled by Doge, and we start actually tracing the dollars that are supposed to be going to all these foreign countries.
Yes.
Again, people that have come here for a better life, you're mad at Donald Trump for wanting to deport you. Your anger's misplaced. We've been sending hundreds of millions of dollars because Venezuela is now being nice. They're going to get $200 and some odd million a year back in foreign aid. I don't agree with it. We're giving $200 some odd million to a communist country. And some will say, well, you got to give to get. They're taking their people back. But where's all that money been going over the years? Right. Where's all the money that we've been giving to African nations?
Buying allies.
Trump, by the way, says, you know what? We're cutting off our aid to South Africa. South Africa was supposed to turn into this great flourishing nation once they got rid of apartheid.
The brothers took it over and ruined it in less than one generation. That's exactly what happened. It used
because
to be a
they
great
wanted
place to go.
because they wanted the money, they wanted the power, they wanted the foreign aid to enrich themselves and keep their people down.
Absolutely. They did not pass the oligarchs at the top did not pass that along to the people, the masses. They're still beholden to the man. The man just shares their skin color now.
And doesn't give them anything.
Yeah.
This should have been the Grammy winner at some point.
Right? Yeah, Jennifer Rayburn says the Grammys voted on winners, and that's true.
Yeah.
We'll see how Beyonce does at the Country Music Awards. Should we have one quick thing here? H.R. Mallory says I don't know where he's going. We'll figure it out on the way. They already were, and don't tell me they're included when VISD and now denied allowing my son to go on a school trip when I volunteered to be one of his one-on-one chaperone. And then when I decided to pull from VISD, they just wanted me to bring him in for an hour so VISD could get the extra money from the state for him. They are just about money.
And before we go, we don't do birthdays, but I do have to wish my daughter Ashton a very happy birthday today.
Is it today?
It is today.
We can tell Ashton happy birthday. Don't make a habit of it, folks.
No.
Have a great
day. I'm going to share something on my Facebook page if you're there. Ashton plays semi-pro women's tackle football, and she's got a fundraiser going on to help raise money for this season for her and her team. I will share that later today. If you can, go help her out.
It's good to know there's an athlete in the family.
Absolutely.
Be good, folks.
Bye, folks.
Bye-bye.
Ain't no way we'll ever change. Ain't no